We disabled people, as Owen Jones said, really, we're not fighting for jobs, we're not fighting for more money, we're really fighting for our lives. The figures he gave you, which he got from me a few months back, are now old. In fact, in 11 months of last year, 10,600 sick and disabled people died within 6 weeks of their work capability assessment. To that number, we've got to add the number of people who've committed suicide because of the stress of the filling the form, having the assessment, having to appeal, and then being reassessed and reassessed. It is an outrage. People, I think most of us have got to the stage where we're terrified of the brown envelope dropping through the door. But it is critical that everybody understands what's driving this. You will know, we've all said the government aims to destroy the welfare state. The key element of this plot as it affects disabled people is a massive American insurance company called Unum. Unum have been operating in the States for many, many years. They're the biggest disability insurer in the world, and they've been banned from 15 states of the US for fraudulent activity and disability denial. But you'll have noticed they've started advertising on our televisions. They've been working quietly with the DWP since 1994 to set up the situation that we've got today of the persecution of disabled people. They've done it partly by funding the creation of a model of disability called the biopsychosocial model, which is fatally flawed, and guess what? Disabled people had no input to it whatsoever. It's still being perpetuated, particularly by Professor Sir Mansell Aylward in Cardiff University, and it underpins these absolutely horrific assessments. Alongside of this, the work capability assessment has been condemned by English GPs, Scottish GPs, and the British Medical Association. You would think that those were fairly august bodies. Has the government taken the slightest bit of notice? They demanded an immediate end. No, they just carried on regardless. Oops, sorry. I've lost myself. Sorry about that. Okay. Sadly, though, the work capability assessment and the ESA, the employment support allowance, is not the only benefit that's being denied to us. Changes in housing benefit, the so-called bedroom tax, are affecting disabled people particularly badly. Disabled people are losing their homes, some of them which will have been the only place that they're actually safe in. And then there's the closure of the Independent Living Fund. Now that has always allowed the most severely disabled people to live independently. After Winterbourne, it should be no surprise that we are all in a state of horror at the prospect of being re-institutionalised. The denial of ESA, and for many job seekers, can I just make it clear, people who are thrown off ESA very often go to the DWP and are told, we can't give you GSA, you're not fit. And then, if they do try, they're not able to comply with the requirements, so they end up destitute. And the government's own figures show that 43% of all disabled people thrown off ESA are destitute now. DLA is the next onslaught, so they're going to be denying people like me and people even more disabled than me disability living allowance, which was designed to level the playing field. So at the higher level it gave us access to the community, which we would like to be part of. At the lower level, it gave us support in our own homes. The extent of the particular viciousness of that one is illustrated by the fact they'll refuse the benefit that is going to replace DLA, which is ludicrously called the personal independence payment, even to people who are wheelchair users but can get in or out of their own wheelchairs and wheel them themselves. Like that solves all their transport problems. As we've seen with so many of the other reforms, this will only have the effect of costing the country more because, for example, it'll put younger disabled people out of work because they won't be able to get to their jobs anymore or to interviews. Many people who've already been thrown off ESA and JSA are now back in their families. So family members have had to give up their jobs to support this person. And then they have to claim carer's allowance. Does it make sense? No. So the next question is how and why have the government decided to scapegoat disabled people? The how is partly thanks to the collusion of their mates in the tabloid press who are constantly telling the public we're all fakes, cheats and scroungers, and far too many people sadly believe it. As to why, I think three things came together back in the mid-90s. One, they sussed out they were going to have to pay an awful lot out more in pensions because so many people were living longer. Two, was Unum. Unum working away to get people off benefits and therefore feel they needed health and employment insurance from them. And the third thing was politicians' fear of alienating the grey vote. So we really, we have to assume they thought that because disabled people are smaller in numbers than pensioners, that we were an easy target. Stupid! For a start, there are pensioners now having to look after their disabled relatives. Then there's people like me who've been disabled all my life and is now claiming a pension. And we really have to factor in that pensioners are amongst the most proud in this country of the welfare state. And they will be the most likely to defend it whoever is being targeted. So just to come on to organising, and I want to say that Disabled People Against Cuts with Black Triangle have been hailed as some of the best, most effective campaigning organisations ever for disabled people. We've done that by using modern technology, both for communicating and for organising. We built alliances from the beginning with unions, with UK Uncut, with Occupy, with any organisation willing to make alliances with us. We've conducted and we've publicised research. We've launched several successful legal challenges, and of course we've staged loads of really good bits of direct action up and down the country. Particularly the Atos Games, where amongst other things we delivered a coffin full of messages to Atos HQ and held a memorial there for all the people who've died. So let me say it loud and clear. This government has chosen the wrong group of people to scapegoat. At the individual level, the very fact that we've had to cope with our impairments all our lives gives many of us a core of steel. At the collective level, our capacity for mutual support, as well as our success in building alliances, means that we will win. Our united resistance will defeat the bullies. Thank you.